Hi everyone, Steve Elliott here again. Today I'm going to show you how I painted this winter scene in Procreate, so let's get down to it. Before I get into the painting, I want to quickly touch on something else. Every morning I go for an early morning walk and I go past this scene, there it is, and it inspires me. I take a photo of it, and I have done quite a few times. And over the past week, 1 week ago, it looked like this, with lots of mist rolling off the field. And then a week later, it looked like this. And it has inspired me to paint this winter scene and this spring scene, all in the space of a week. In actual fact, the paintings were done on consecutive days. So here I am in Art Rage, and I'm going to do the winter scene. But what I wanted to quickly get across to you there was that if you keep you more likely will have your phone with you, but just because you've taken a photo of something one day, it doesn't mean you won't get a different photo that can inspire you the very next day or just a few days later. So I frequently take photos of the same scene over and over again and get very different results. Anyway, back to the painting. I'm in Procreate. I'm using my own brushes. I start with a wet in wet wash brush to get in this sky, and I'm using obviously a blue colour, a little bit of yellow and some warm oranges towards the base. Once I've done that, I create a second layer and I set the blend mode to multiply. Every layer that I paint in this, I change the blend mode to multiply, so the colour below really blows through. And then I use the blending brush, and I use the small watercolour blending brush from my kit in the blending tool to soften off the top edge of that tree line. And then I go into the bottom layer and use the eraser, and I've got the lifting out brush, one of my lifting out brushes, on the eraser to do the lifting out. And then I create not another layer, but I'm painting another band of bushes or trees, all with this sort of mist effect. And the mist is just done by using a blending brush to soften off the bottom edge. You can see there, look, and making sure that there's white paper below it. And then I just use that lifting out brush on the eraser just to add a few sort of bush trunks, is that the right word? I don't know, branches on the bushes showing through. Add in another layer of bushes, so you can see the mist rolling over those bushes now. This is a really light painting because it was cold. All the colours were muted. And then I go in with the blending brush again. The watercolour wet in wet wash brush with a grayed off blue, and on another layer again set to multiply, and then I start painting in this tree, and this looks a bit dodgy, very scary, because it could be anything at this point. I choose a very warm red grey again to mix in with that blue, and then I swap to the rigger brush, which is the brush I use for fine detail, to start brushing in these trees to the left. And then I sort of strengthen them up and add the shadows, beefing up the shadows all the while. It looks a bit burnt out on the video. I don't know what's going off there, but it certainly wasn't as burnt out as that when I was painting it, or it didn't look that burnt out. So I wanted a bit of green in the foreground, just this side of the edge, so really bring that forward. And then I'm using the rigger again, and I am using that nice sort of grey blue colour to paint in the branches, and I'm just letting the Apple Pencil follow its own path, really. Just letting it meander into that sort of dark mass, and then I blend the edges away. So all of a sudden it's starting to look a bit like a tree. Okay, I admit at the minute it looks like some sort of monster ambling down the road with a dozen arms, but as I start to add the branches and thicken them up, put a few more at the top and whatnot, it does start to look like a tree. I truly believe that. But it's all about the mist and the sort of the way everything was dull and greyed off. There wasn't a lot of light, so no really vibrant colours. Yeah, that's looking like a tree now. I'm very happy with that. So then I go into the trees on the left, and I start painting the branches on them too. But what I want to do is leave a little bit of a gap for where the sun is rising. So you'll see I leave like a little hole around the trees. You can see them appearing, but I'm leaving that hole where the sun would be. I'm really concerned that the painting looks really bleached out in the middle, and I don't know what's happening with that. It certainly wasn't like that on the when I was painting it. Anyway, you can see much better now this hole where the sun is. So just sort of changing the colour to a slightly more orange colour to put a few branches in round where the sun is sort of burning away any detail in those few trees there. Then I go in with the rigger brush again, but I make it a little bit bigger and just pop in a few leaves, dead leaves that are still clinging to the trees. Flicking a few more branches. I'm going to beef up that foreground a little bit. Again, using the blending brush all the time, using the blending brush. Getting a few more trunks and branches in, twigs and things flicking in there, just adding detail. Then I create another layer in between the background and the trees and just add some really strong colour. I just felt it was looking a bit too bland, and in the foreground I just wanted to give it a little bit of a lift and sort of put a bit of a cast where the sun would be lighting up that field, and then a few posts for the fence. All done with the rigger, blending away all the time. Just softening off those edges at the bottom again. I felt it needed a few posts on the right as well, but notice I don't take it right to the very edge. I just let it sort of disappear into the mist, and it just adds that little bit. If I take it right into the edge, I think it would lead your eye out of the painting, which is not what I'm after at all. I really wouldn't want that. So then I create a new layer, get it signed, because that's the finished painting. There we go. Nice Winter's watercolour. Finally, I decide that I am going to put a textured watercolour paper over the top of this painting, and that is part of the free kit that I give away. I will put a link in the description to all the brushes as usual. But anyway, I go to import a file, navigate to the cloud where I keep all of my textures, import the it's Archer's watercolour paper actually, place that over the top of the old painting, resize it to fit. Once I've done that, I go to the layers tab, because obviously it's obscuring all of the painting, and I'm going to change the blend mode to multiply, and I just felt that was a little bit heavy, so I go back into it. I believe I go back into the menu, and I'm going to adjust the opacity slightly. There we go. I decide that it needs the opacity changing and knocking down to, I don't know, that looks around the 40-50% mark, just so that I've got that nice watercolored texture paper over the top of the painting. So there we have a winter scene, although it is late winter scene, painted as a watercolor in Procreate. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, a big thumbs up as always is much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because I have lots of videos like this and I would love to be sharing them with you. So hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.